I've been making YouTube videos for 3 years now, chasing that elusive viral moment that would finally push my channel past the 100,000 subscriber mark. My content was decent. Urban exploration, paranormal investigations, the occasional trying weird food video. But I needed something bigger. Something that would make people stop scrolling and hit that notification bell. That's how I found myself on the dark web at 2 a.m., scrolling through listings for mystery boxes that promised rare collectibles, haunted artifacts, and items that will change your life forever. Most were obvious scams, but one caught my attention. The seller had perfect feedback, and the price tag made my wallet weep. $2,800 for a personalized premium mystery collection. The description was minimal. Curated items of personal significance, not for the faint of heart. 1 box per customer. No returns. I hesitated for maybe 10 seconds before hitting purchase. The video of me unboxing a $3,000 mystery box would easily pull in 1 million views. Maybe 2 million if whatever was inside was genuinely creepy. The package arrived 3 days later in an unmarked brown box. No return address. I set up my camera equipment, adjusted the lighting, and hit record. What's up, Seekers? Today we're doing something that might be completely insane. I held up the box for the camera. I just dropped nearly $3,000 on a dark web mystery box, and I have absolutely no idea what's inside. The seller claimed these items have personal significance, whatever that means. The box opened easily. No locks, no elaborate packaging, just plain cardboard and bubble wrap. Almost disappointing. The first item I pulled out was a set of old brass keys, tarnished with age. I held them up to the camera, turning them in the light. Okay. Not exactly the cursed artifact I was hoping for, but these look genuinely old. Maybe early 1900s. I set them aside and reached for the next item. Polaroid photographs, about a dozen of them, faded and yellowed. I flipped through them for the camera. A birthday party, kids playing in a backyard, a family dinner. Strangers' memories, probably bought in bulk from estate sales. This is kind of sad, actually, I told my viewers. These were someone's precious memories, and now they're just commodity items in a mystery box. Next came handwritten notes, letters, shopping lists, diary entries in various handwritings. I skimmed a few aloud. Don't forget milk and eggs. Call Mom on Sunday. The roses by the fence need trimming. Mundane slice-of-life stuff that felt almost voyeuristic to read. I have to say, guys, this is pretty underwhelming so far. $3,000 for old keys and random people's grocery lists? I laughed, but it felt forced. Something was nagging at me, a feeling I couldn't quite place. I reached for another photograph and froze. It was me. A child version of me, maybe 8 years old, standing in front of a red brick school building I'd never seen before. I was wearing my favorite blue striped shirt, the one I'd loved so much that Mom had to practically pry it off me to wash it. But the building behind me was completely unfamiliar. My hands shook slightly as I held the photo. On camera, I tried to maintain my composure. This is interesting. This appears to be a photo of me as a child, but I have no memory of this place. I forced a smile. Probably just someone who looks similar, right? Kids all look the same at that age. But it wasn't someone who looked similar. It was me. The small scar on my chin from falling off my bike when I was 7. The way my left ear stuck out slightly more than my right. The exact same cowlick that still gave me trouble every morning. I set the photo aside with trembling fingers and picked up one of the handwritten notes I'd glossed over earlier. This time, I actually read it. 1247 Maple Street. Second floor. Corner bedroom. Blue wallpaper with sailboats. My childhood address. My childhood bedroom. The walls of my apartment seemed to close in around me. I glanced at the camera, its red recording light suddenly feeling like an eye watching me. My audience would expect me to keep going to maintain the entertainment value, but my mouth had gone dry. This is getting a little weird, guys, I managed, my voice cracking slightly. Someone's done their homework. There was one item left in the box, a USB drive, black and unmarked except for a white label. Return to sender. I stared at it for a long moment, my mind racing. This had to be some kind of elaborate prank. Maybe one of my friends had orchestrated this, though none of them had $3,000 to throw away on a joke. Maybe the dark web seller had done research on their customers, personalizing each box to create exactly this kind of unsettling experience. That had to be it. A personalized scare, designed to go viral. Okay, let's see what's on here, I said, trying to inject some enthusiasm back into my voice. I plugged the USB into my laptop. The drive contained a single video file for DemetriusEyesOnly.mp4. Demetrius, my real name, the name on my credit card, my shipping address, my birth certificate. Not my YouTube handle, not my online persona. My actual name. I double-clicked the file. The video opened with a black screen, then slowly faded to show my apartment. My living room, to be precise, shot from an angle near the kitchen. The timestamp in the corner read, yesterday's date, 3:47 a.m. I watched myself sleeping on the couch. I remembered that night. I'd fallen asleep watching Netflix, too lazy to make it to my bedroom. On screen, I was curled up under my old college blanket, completely unconscious and vulnerable. The camera angle was perfect, as if someone had been standing in my kitchen filming me for hours. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely control the mouse. I paused the video and looked around my apartment with new eyes. The kitchen. Someone had been standing in my kitchen while I slept. Close enough to touch me. I forced myself to continue watching. The video was over an hour long. Whoever had filmed this had stood there for over an hour watching me sleep, occasionally zooming in on my face or adjusting the angle. At one point, around the 40-minute mark, the person had moved closer. The camera showed my coffee table, my laptop, my mail scattered across the surface. Mail with my full name and address clearly visible. Near the end of the video, I watched my sleeping self shift position, and the camera pulled back to show more of the room. In the reflection of my dark TV screen, I could just make out a shadow. A human silhouette holding what looked like a phone or small camera. The video ended with that same black screen from the beginning, but this time, text appeared. Welcome home, Demetrius. We've been waiting for you to find us. I slammed the laptop shut and stumbled backward, knocking over my camera tripod. The crash echoed through my apartment, and I realized I was hyperventilating. Someone had been in my home. Not just once. The note about my childhood address, the photograph from a school I'd never attended but somehow appeared in, suggested this had been going on much longer than just last night. The USB label suddenly made horrible sense. Return to sender. This wasn't a mystery box I'd purchased. This was my property being returned to me. Property that someone had been collecting for years, maybe decades. Photos of me as a child, notes about my personal information, evidence of their surveillance. I grabbed my phone and started to call the police, then stopped. What would I tell them? That I'd bought illegal goods on the dark web and received creepy photos of myself? That someone had filmed me sleeping, but hadn't actually hurt me or taken anything? Instead, I walked to my kitchen, to the exact spot where the video had been filmed. I looked back at my couch, seeing it from the stalker's perspective. They'd been standing right here, in my space, watching me breathe. That's when I noticed it. On my kitchen counter next to my coffee maker was a small object I'd never seen before. Another brass key, identical to the ones from the mystery box. It was still warm. I looked at my front door, locked, the windows all closed and latched. But someone had been here again, probably while I was filming my unboxing video. They'd watched me discover their gifts and left me one more. My phone buzzed with a notification. A new subscriber to my YouTube channel. The username was a string of numbers, the coordinates of my apartment building. Then another notification. A comment on the video I'd just finished recording, even though I hadn't uploaded it yet. Looking forward to the next unboxing, Demetrius. Same time tomorrow. I looked at my camera, still running, still recording. The red light blinked at me like a knowing eye. Somewhere in my apartment, I could hear the faint sound of another camera still rolling. I should have known better than to click that link. It started innocently enough. If you can call browsing Reddit at 3 a.m. innocent. Finals week had me wired on energy drinks and desperation, scrolling mindlessly through obscure subreddits when I stumbled across a comment buried deep in a thread about urban legends. Just a string of random characters and numbers, but something about it felt deliberate, curious. The link led to a forum I'd never seen before. Dark theme, minimal interface, no obvious branding. The header simply read, "Witness." Below it, a single post. Ready to play? Prove it. I created an account without thinking. Student 847 seemed anonymous enough. The moment I logged in, a private message appeared. Welcome to the real world. 3 challenges, 3 rewards. Bitcoin payments increase with difficulty. Are you watching? Below the message was a live stream window. Black screen, then suddenly, footage of someone spray painting a Dodge Charger in what looked like a mall parking lot. The chat beside it moved fast. Usernames I couldn't track. Typing things like easy money and rookie shit and wait until challenge 3 LMAO. Another message popped up. Your turn. Challenge 1. 500 Bitcoin. Vandalize any vehicle within 2 miles of your location. Stream must run minimum 3 minutes. Clock starts when you accept. $500. That would cover my textbooks next semester, maybe even help with rent. I told myself it was just property damage. Insurance would cover it. Rich people problems? I accepted. The app somehow activated my phone's camera without permission, and suddenly, I was live. The chat exploded with new viewers. Fresh meat, college boy gonna cry, paint his face too. I grabbed a can of black paint from my roommate's art supplies and headed out into the November cold. The first car I found was a silver BMW in the campus visitor lot. My hand shook as I sprayed jagged lines across the hood, watching the paint drip down like wounds. The chat loved it. User counts climbing, crude encouragement flowing. 3 minutes felt like hours. But when the timer hit 0, I ran. Back in my dorm room, heart hammering, I watched the Bitcoin transfer notification appear on my phone. Real money. Actually happening. The second message came 12 hours later. Challenge 2. 2,500 Bitcoin. Enter an occupied residence without permission. Take photographic proof of your presence. No theft required. Duration 5 minutes minimum. $2,500. That was serious money. Enough to make a real dent in my student loans. The live stream showed someone else's challenge. A figure in a hoodie creeping through what looked like a suburban kitchen. Phone camera shakily recording family photos on the refrigerator while the chat went wild. This was breaking and entering. This was criminal. This was also more money than I'd ever had at once in my life. I found a house 6 blocks from campus. Small, dark, with newspapers piling up on the porch. Probably empty, I told myself. Probably safe. I jimmied the back door with my student ID, amazed when it actually worked. Inside, dust motes danced in my phone's camera light. The place felt abandoned. Stale air, covered furniture, that particular silence of empty spaces. I took the required selfie by the fireplace, then another by the kitchen sink. The chat's excitement palpable, even through my phone's tiny screen. 5 minutes crawled by like a prison sentence. Walking home, I felt different. Hollow. The Bitcoin notification should have been exciting, but instead, it felt like a transaction I couldn't undo. I'd crossed lines I couldn't uncross. The third message waited for me when I woke up. Final challenge. 10,000 Bitcoin. Transport provided package to specified coordinates. Place in designated receptacle. Live witness required throughout. This is your audition for permanent membership. $10,000. Life-changing money. But something felt wrong about the phrasing. Audition. Permanent membership. What kind of game had membership requirements? The package arrived 2 hours later. A long, heavy black bag with an address written in permanent marker. The coordinates led to an industrial area downtown, the kind of place where businesses went to die quietly. I should have walked away. Should have deleted the app, burned the phone, transferred to schools. Instead, I threw the bag in my car's trunk and drove. The live stream activated automatically as I pulled into the lot. The chat was different now. Fewer juvenile comments, more serious observers. Names that seemed less random, more deliberate. The viewer count was the highest I'd seen. The dumpster sat exactly where the coordinates indicated, behind a defunct auto shop. Rusty green metal with Klein Disposal stenciled on the side. I dragged the bag from my trunk, surprised by its weight, its awkward shape. It felt dense, organic. Just trash, I told myself. Props for the stream. The bag disappeared into the dumpster's depths with a wet, heavy sound that made my stomach turn. 5 minutes of live stream. Then the timer released me. $10,000 appeared in my crypto wallet like magic. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt marked. That was 3 days ago. This morning, I saw the news story. Breakthrough. In Cold Case, evidence recovered in 5-year disappearance of local teacher Sarah Martinez. Anonymous tip led police to remains in downtown Dumpster. Martinez vanished from her apartment October 2019. Case went cold after 6 months of investigation. The photo showed the same green dumpster, the same auto shop, the same exact spot where I dropped that bag. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I read the article. Sarah Martinez, 28, elementary school teacher. Missing for 5 years. Found because of an anonymous tip that led police directly to evidence they'd been missing. Evidence I had placed there. Evidence with my fingerprints on it. I tried logging back into the forum to find answers, demand explanations, threaten exposure, but my account was gone. The entire site had vanished like it never existed. Until tonight. A new message appeared on my phone from a number I didn't recognize. Congratulations. You passed the audition. Welcome to permanent membership. Your next assignment will arrive within 48 hours. Remember, you're part of the game now. The game never ends. Below it, a photo. Me, dragging the bag from my trunk, face clearly visible in the streetlight. We have everything we need. You're ours now. I'm writing this because I need someone to know what happened, how it started, how they find people like me, desperate, broke, willing to compromise for money. The forum targets specific types: college students, people with debt, anyone vulnerable enough to take the first dare. The car vandalism was just initiation, getting you comfortable with crime, building evidence of your participation. The breaking and entering was escalation, more serious charges, bigger legal liability. But the third challenge, that wasn't a challenge at all. That was recruitment. They needed someone to move evidence in a cold case. Someone with no connection to the victim, no motive, no criminal record. Someone desperate enough to transport a body without asking questions. Someone they could control forever with the threat of exposure. Someone like me. The police will connect me to Sarah Martinez's murder, eventually. DNA evidence, surveillance cameras, digital footprints I don't even know about yet. When they do, I'll have 2 choices. Life in prison for a murder I didn't commit, or continued cooperation with whatever the forum really is. I chose wrong 3 times, and now I'll never choose freely again. If you ever see a forum called Witness, if someone offers you money for anonymous dares, if anything about this sounds familiar, run. Delete everything. Change your number. Move if you have to. The game never ends, but it doesn't have to start with you. I can hear footsteps in the hallway outside my dorm room. Heavy, deliberate, multiple sets. They're coming for me now. The game never ends. The coffee had gone cold hours ago, but I kept staring at the mug like it held answers instead of bitter dregs. My laptop screen cast a blue glow across the kitchen table, illuminating the wreckage of my marriage in digital form. Text messages, photos, credit card statements showing hotel charges I never made. Naomi was cheating on me. 18 years of marriage, and she was sleeping with some guy named James from her yoga class. The evidence was overwhelming, methodical in its betrayal. Screenshots of their conversations filled my desktop. Intimate messages that made my stomach churn. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. Tell me you love me the way Cameron never could. Cameron never could. The words echoed in my skull like a mantra of inadequacy. I'd provided for her, loved her, built our life together brick by careful brick. And this was how she repaid me. My hands shook as I scrolled through more messages. They'd been meeting at the Marriott downtown every Tuesday for 3 months. 3 months of lies, of her coming home with that satisfied glow I'd attributed to her newfound dedication to fitness. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was getting her exercise, just not the kind I'd imagined. The rage built slowly, like water behind a dam. It started as a dull ache in my chest, then spread outward until my vision blurred red at the edges. I wanted to break something. I wanted to scream. I wanted James to suffer the way I was suffering. That's when the thought crept in, insidious and dark. What if he could suffer? What if he could disappear? I'd heard whispers about the dark web at work. Jenkins in IT was always making jokes about hiring hitmen and buying organs, laughing like it was all some elaborate fiction. But fiction didn't explain the nervous way his eyes darted when he talked about it, or how he always seemed to have more cash than his salary should allow. The laptop screen wavered as fresh tears blurred my vision. Naomi's face smiled back at me from her profile photo, the same bright smile that had captivated me in college, now a mask hiding her betrayal. I slammed the laptop shut and sat in darkness, listening to the house settle around me. Our house, the house where we'd planned to grow old together. By morning, the rage had crystallized into something colder, more focused. I called in sick to work and spent the day researching. The dark web wasn't as mysterious as I'd imagined, just another layer of the internet accessible with the right software. By evening, I was browsing marketplaces with names like Silk Road Reborn and Shadow Market. The murder for hire sections were surprisingly professional. Clean websites with user ratings and testimonials. Discrete solutions for permanent problems. No questions asked, no loose ends. The prices ranged from $5,000 to $50,000 depending on the complexity of the job. I told myself I was just looking, just exploring. But when I found a listing titled Personal Problem Resolution, my cursor hovered over the contact button for nearly an hour. The website was sleeker than the others, with a black background and silver text. No crude graphics or obvious criminality. It looked like a legitimate business consulting firm. The description was vague but compelling. We understand that sometimes life presents us with problems that cannot be solved through conventional means. Our discrete services provide permanent resolutions to personal conflicts. Complete anonymity guaranteed. Payment in cryptocurrency only. Before I could lose my nerve, I clicked. The contact form was surprisingly detailed. Name of target, physical description, address, daily routines, preferred method of resolution, special circumstances, a text box for additional information. At the bottom, a simple checkbox. I understand this service is irreversible and accept full responsibility for my request. I stared at that checkbox for a long time. James lived in a garden apartment complex on Elm Street. I'd driven by twice during my research, noting his blue Honda Civic in the parking lot, the light in his second floor window. He was younger than me, maybe 35, with the kind of lean build that came from regular gym sessions rather than years of hard work. Naomi's type, apparently. My fingers moved across the keyboard as if possessed. Target name, James Anthony Fowler. Age, approximately 35. Height, 5 feet 10 inches, weight 165 pounds, hair black, eyes brown. Address 1247 Elm Street, apartment 2. B, daily routine. Leaves for work at 8:15 a.m., returns around 6:30 p.m., visits Zenith Fitness Center on weekends. The cursor blinked in the additional information box. I typed, "Target is having an affair with my wife. I want him gone. Make it look like an accident if possible." My hand trembled as I moved the mouse to the checkbox. One click and James would die. One click and my problem would be solved. One click and Naomi would understand the consequences of betrayal. I clicked. The next page requested payment, $25,000 in Bitcoin. The website provided detailed instructions for cryptocurrency purchase and transfer, along with a unique wallet address. Payment must be received within 48 hours for processing. Once payment is confirmed, Target will be eliminated within 10 to 14 business days. No refunds. The money was there. My inheritance from Dad's life insurance sitting untouched in a savings account I'd forgotten about. Blood money, quite literally. The irony seemed appropriate. It took 3 hours to figure out cryptocurrency exchanges and wallets. Another hour to transfer the funds. By midnight, the payment was confirmed, and I received an automated message. Contract accepted. Resolution timeline, 10 to 14 business days. You will receive confirmation upon completion. Delete all communication. This conversation never happened. I cleared my browser history, uninstalled the Tor software, and went to bed. For the first time in weeks, I slept soundly. The next morning felt surreal, like waking from a vivid dream. Had I really just paid someone to kill my wife's lover? The thought should have terrified me, but instead, I felt oddly calm, purposeful. I made coffee, read the news, got ready for work as if nothing had changed. Naomi was already gone. Early morning yoga class she'd claimed the night before. Probably rushing to James's bed while I'd been arranging his death. The thought no longer made me angry. Soon, it wouldn't matter. Days passed in a strange haze. I went through the motions of normal life while secretly counting down James's remaining time. Naomi continued her charade, coming home with elaborate stories about her fitness progress while the scent of another man lingered in her hair. I played the oblivious husband, nodding along to her lies while knowing they'd end soon. On the 7th day, James didn't show up to the yoga class. Naomi came home agitated, claiming he'd missed their session without explanation. I made sympathetic noises while my heart raced. Was it happening? Had they found him? But the next day, James was back. I drove past his apartment and saw his Honda in the parking lot. Saw him moving around his kitchen window. Still alive. Still breathing my air. 10 days. 11. 12. Nothing happened. On day 14, I began to worry. Had the website been a scam? Had I paid $25,000 for nothing? The thought of being cheated on 2 fronts, by my wife and by criminals, made my blood boil. Day 15. Brought the envelope. It was sitting in my mailbox when I got home from work, a plain manila envelope with no return address. My name and address were written in block letters with black ink, no postmark, hand-delivered. Inside was a single photograph. Me, asleep in my bed, taken from the doorway of my bedroom. The angle was perfect, showing my face clearly in the dim light filtering through the blinds. Naomi was visible beside me, her back turned. Auburn hair spread across her pillow. Beneath the photo, A note written in the same block letters. This was almost your final night. Be careful what you wish for. My legs gave out. I collapsed onto the kitchen floor, photo and note scattered around me, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Someone had been in my house, in my bedroom, standing over my sleeping body with a camera. I grabbed the photo with shaking hands, studying every detail. The timestamp in the corner showed 3 nights ago, Thursday, 2:47 a.m. I remembered that night. I'd taken an extra sleeping pill because Naomi had come home late again, reeking of cologne that wasn't mine. I'd slept deeply, dreamlessly, never knowing someone was watching me. The implications crashed over me in waves. The website wasn't real. The hitman service was a front. But for what? Why photograph me instead of killing James? Why deliver this cryptic warning? I spent the night researching, diving deeper into forums and communities I'd only glimpsed before. Stories emerged from the digital shadows, tales of people who'd tried to hire killers online, only to find themselves stalked, terrorized, driven to madness by an unseen enemy. The truth was worse than any scam. The sites weren't run by criminals looking for easy money. They were operated by vigilantes, self-appointed judges who collected evidence of people's darkest impulses and delivered their own twisted justice. They didn't kill targets. They made the clients wish they were dead. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. The message was waiting in my inbox, sent from a generic address that would probably be deleted within hours. No signature, just a single paragraph that made my blood freeze. Cameron Mitchell, 42. Married to Naomi Elizabeth Mitchell for 18 years. Software engineer at Dataflow Solutions. Father's life insurance policy, $247,000. Recent cryptocurrency transaction, $25,000 to wallet 3 FBJ179. We know where you work. We know where you sleep. We know what you've done. The question is, what are you going to do about it? They had everything. My full name, my wife's name, my employment history, my financial records. The wallet address from my Bitcoin transaction proved they controlled the fake hitman site. But who were they? How many people were involved in this twisted game? I tried to convince myself it was just intimidation. They'd scared me, taught me a lesson, and now it was over. I'd learned my lesson. I'd never try anything like this again. Surely that was enough. But the harassment didn't stop. Photos appeared under my windshield wipers. Images of me pumping gas, leaving work, grocery shopping. Always taken from a distance, always showing that invisible eyes were watching. Notes were slipped under my door in the middle of the night. We're always here. You can't hide from what you are. Murderers don't deserve peace. Sleep became impossible. Every creak of the house settling, every rustle of wind through the trees, every distant car engine might be them. I installed security cameras, changed the locks, bought pepper spray and a baseball bat. None of it helped. The photos kept coming, the notes more frequent and disturbing. Naomi noticed my deteriorating state, but attributed it to the stress of her affair. She probably thought I was finally figuring out her betrayal. If only it were that simple. If only my biggest problem was infidelity instead of invisible tormentors who seemed to know my every move. The worst part was the waiting. They demonstrated they could reach me anywhere, anytime. They'd been in my bedroom while I slept. They could have killed me a dozen times over, but instead, they chose psychological warfare. Death would be merciful compared to this endless anticipation of revenge. 3 weeks after the first photo, I found another envelope in my mailbox. This time, it contained pictures of Naomi and James together. Intimate photos taken through hotel windows and restaurant booths in the front seat of his Honda. But these weren't the images that made my hands shake. At the bottom of the stack was a photo of Naomi leaving work yesterday, walking to her car in the company parking garage. She was alone, vulnerable, unaware of the camera capturing her from the shadows. The message was clear. We could have taken her instead. The note confirmed my worst fears. Your wife doesn't deserve to suffer for your choices. Yet, but if you contact law enforcement or try to find us, that changes. Some sins can't be forgiven, Cameron. Some people can't be allowed to hurt others. You wanted someone dead. Now you get to live knowing what that makes you. Forever. I understood then that this was my life now. Not death, that would be too easy. Instead, I'd been sentenced to paranoia, to sleepless nights and constant fear. I'd wanted to play God with James's life, and now my anonymous judges were playing God with mine. The beautiful, terrible irony wasn't lost on me. I'd gotten exactly what I'd wanted. James was as good as dead to me now. Naomi's affair had been exposed in vivid detail. My problem was solved, but solutions, I'd learned, often came with prices higher than anyone was prepared to pay. As I write this, I can see someone standing across the street under the lamppost. They're too far away to make out clearly. Just a dark figure in the night. They've been there for an hour, perfectly still, watching my house. Watching me. Tomorrow there will probably be another photo, another note, another reminder that somewhere out there, people know what I am and what I've done. The contract I signed can never be canceled, the payment never refunded. I wanted James dead, and now I'm the one who can't truly live. The coffee is cold again. It's always cold now. Everything is cold in this new world I've made for myself, where invisible eyes watch and patient hands deliver justice one photograph at a time. Be careful what you wish for, indeed.